By far, one of the most important things about running a profitable business is a consistent flow of new leads. Because without getting any new leads, your business won't have any way of generating new revenue. And that is the exact reason that a lot of businesses run stuff like paid ads, social media managing, do cold outreach, or even just referrals in general. All of these are different ways to attract new leads to come inside of the business. When a new lead is collected through any of these acquisition methods, most businesses have an internal sales system in place to nurture these leads with the goal of trying to convert them into a sale. And the way that most businesses do that is that they try to do some follow-up with these leads manually when they come in from the acquisition methods. And some of these leads go directly to appointments and convert to sales. But 95% of these leads coming in just end up in an old dead database to never be touched again. And that is exactly what we're going to solve with lead reactivation. The way the system works is that we send out a hyper-personalized SMS message to all of these old dead leads, and then we send out 1 to 2 different follow-up messages to give them a chance to respond to the message. Whenever a dead lead responds to one of these messages, a hyper-personalized AI is going to take over the conversation and try to convert the lead into a new booked appointment. When it's successful with that, it's going to send the information into the business's CRM platform and notify the sales team so that they can eventually convert the person into a sale. Then the system is going to notify the sales team, who are then going to try to convert the prospect into a new sale. For reference, to give you a real-world example, we ran this exact system with a marketing agency that had 119 old dead leads. We ended up with a 58.8% response rate, and the AI managed to book 2 new appointments from leads that the business had completely written off and wasn't planning to ever contact again. Now you understand how the system works. Let's get into how we're going to build it. First, you want to go into GoHighLevel and come over to Automation and simply click on Create Workflow and select Start from Scratch. Once the workflow has loaded up, you're going to have a completely empty workflow with nothing inside of it. And then you're just going to copy exactly what I've just done right here. So the first thing is that you're not going to have a trigger. The next step is to have an action called drip mode. And what that does is that it basically just takes all the leads that we're going to insert into the workflow, and it just sends out the messages in batch sizes of 3 every 1 minute. And the reason that we do this is because if we just send out all the messages at once, there's a high risk of being flagged inside of SMS as a spam number. So to avoid that, we're going to send out these SMS messages in a bunch of different batches. The next step is to set up a wait action and configure it to look for a certain time window. As you can see right here, it's set for Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the reason we do this is that we want to avoid sending out these SMS messages at ridiculous times, such as 10 p.m. on a Saturday, for example. We want to be respectable, and we want to have these messages be sent out inside of reasonable business hours. But don't worry, the AI will respond on any time. So even if they respond to us at 10 p.m. on a Sunday, it's going to respond instantly. Great, now the next step is to set up the first initial message that the person is going to receive. And this is why you want to catch their attention and give them an offer that they can't refuse. For this example, we've just went with a car detailer, so we could say, hey, contact first name. It's going to put their first name right here. It's Jack. I did your car through Jack's car detailing a while back. I got some extra time this week, so I figured I'd shoot you a message. Are you due for another session? After the first fixed SMS message, we're going to insert another wait action that is going to simply just wait for a response to this exact SMS message. What is then going to happen is determined by if the person responds or not. If the person doesn't respond within 5 hours, there is going to be sent another follow-up. But if the person responds, the conversation is sent straight over to the appointment booking AI that is going to close out the confirmation and try to book the prospect. But first, let's take a look at how the follow-up messages are going to work. If a person doesn't answer within 5 hours or any time frame that you choose, you can select it right here. The first follow-up message is going to be sent out. But the first thing that's going to happen is the workflow is going to check the time frame so that we don't send out this follow-up message again in an unreasonable time like 10 p.m. on a Saturday. If we are within this time frame from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. in this example, the workflow is going to send out the first follow-up, which is just, hey, contact first name, did you get my last message? After that SMS message, we have another wait step that is again going to wait for the contact to respond. So we're going to set it to 10 hours after the first fixed SMS message. Now what's going to happen is that when they reply to this message, we're going to have a go-to action that is going to send them straight up to the appointment booking conversation AI right here. And if they haven't responded after 10 hours, is that we're again going to have a wait action that is going to check the time frame and make sure that we don't send out the second follow-up message in an unreasonable time frame. So again, we have the same thing. And if it is inside of this time frame, it's going to send out the second follow-up message, which could simply just be something like, let me know if the time comes around, and a thumbs up or something like that. You don't want to be too pushy, but also don't want to be too passive. After this follow-up message, we have our final wait action. And this wait action is going to wait 14 days for a response. So the workflow is going to stay open for 14 days, giving them a reasonable time frame to respond to our messages. If they respond, we again have a go-to action that is going to send them straight up to the conversation AI. But if they don't respond, we are going to add a tag to that contact, just labeling them unresponsive because they didn't respond. That way we can easily manage and organize these leads inside of our CRM, or your client's CRM for that matter. And that was it for the follow-up flow. Let's talk about how the conversation AI is going to work. Just like I mentioned, this is the part of the flow that is going to activate whenever somebody responds, whether it's from the first fixed message or any of the follow-up messages. And this is also the most important part to nail down when you create these SMS lead reactivation flows. Configuring this right is going to determine how the AI is going to respond. The first thing that you want to set up inside of the booking agent is the calendar. And you basically just want to set up a calendar inside of GoHighLevel, and then you can connect it to the booking agent. I have already made a video on how to do this. If you come into our completely free community, we have 1,000 members in here right now. You just come into Classroom and go to Foundations. And right down here, this video covers exactly how you set up the calendars. The next part is constructing the prompt that the agent is going to follow. And this is the most important part. I'm going to leave the prompt that I have used right here for this car detailer down below the video. And then you can just copy that inside of Claude, and then you can talk back and forth with it until you have a prompt that you're genuinely happy with and proud of. The big thing about this is that you test it thoroughly, because you don't want this AI to break mid-conversation when you've deployed it onto your client's old lead database. You need to make sure that it works. And inside of GoHighLevel, they've made it extremely easy to test these workflows, because what you can do is you can just come up here to test workflow, and you can register yourself as a contact inside of contacts in GoHighLevel, and you can just test it with yourself and your own number. The next thing that we want to do is we want to limit the maximum amount of messages that can be sent inside of the thread with the person. I'm just going to set it for 15. That should be plenty enough. I haven't had a single conversation that has hit this limit roof of 15 messages, so 15 is plenty. Then we're going to set a timeout value, and what that basically just means is that after 14 days, we can see we set it to days right here, the bot is going to time out itself, so it won't respond to any new messages from that point on. And then you want to select the channel, and for this workflow we are going to go with SMS since it's set up for SMS, but you could also set it up for Facebook Messenger or Instagram or even WhatsApp if you wanted to do that instead. You need to remember that SMS is not free. And if you're in the US, for example, you need to sign up for A2P registration. You just need to follow GoHighLevel's guide. It's super simple, but you have to do that, and it costs some money. And you also are going to be billed for the amount of messages that you send through SMS. So if you want a cheaper option and your clients are already on Instagram, for example, you can simply just set it up for Instagram instead. It will work the exact same and you won't be billed anything. Just replace the follow-up with what's called an Instagram DM right here and just switch it out completely. It's the exact same. Then we have the don't let the bot send a confirmation message. I'm just gonna leave that off. Then we have the wait time before responding. And this is actually quite an important one, because if we send out our messages with our AI instantly, it feels very robotic and it doesn't really make sense. We want to maintain this human feel. So by setting a reasonable limit, like 15 to 20 seconds, it feels more like a human sat down and actually wrote the SMS rather than it being an automated message. So I really recommend that you set this to like 15 or 20 seconds. And the final thing is that we have these different branches that I don't really recommend that you change anything on, but it's really just one that's for timeout, one that's for appointment was booked, and one that is for appointment wasn't booked. These are basically just different ways for the AI to determine if the conversation is done and how it was ended. And if you wanted to, you could even add a notification feature right here, for example through Slack or through email, that would basically just notify yourself or the business owner that you're setting this up for whenever the agent has booked an appointment with one of their prospects. And yeah, that basically covers how lead reactivation works and how we're going to set it up. But there is one final thing that I want to show you, and that is how we're going to connect the old leads to this workflow. Because as you might remember, we did not set up a trigger, and that is intentional because we're going to manually start this workflow every time. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to head into contacts and you're going to import your old leads. Select contacts, click next, upload the file, preferably a CSV file, just click next and you follow this and you verify, and all these old leads will be imported into your contacts tab right here. Once you've successfully imported all of the old leads, they're going to show up like they do right here in a list. There is a little white square right over here. You can click on those and you can see it will say trigger automation. You want to select all the old leads that you just imported, do the same that I just did, and click trigger automation. This little window will open up and we can give this a name. Lead reactivation campaign 1, for example, we just select workflow, and we want to select the workflow that we just built, so the SMS lead reactivation is the right one. Then finally down here we want to select the mode, and I'm just going to select send at scheduled time, choose the time that I want the campaign to start. Let's say I just want to start it Monday the 23rd of March. I just click on that and click confirm, and we can also up here set the times. I want to start it at 8 a.m, so we could set it like that and like that, click OK. Once everything is set up, all that's left to do is click on the Add to Automation button. And this will basically just take all these old leads, add them to the workflow, and it's going to start the campaign March 23rd at 8 a.m. just like we wanted. And that actually sums up everything you need to know in order to run a lead reactivation campaign. If you have any questions, drop them down below in the comments and I'll make sure to answer every single one of them. But for now, I'm out.